order Tuesday, March the 14th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Please stand for the invocation and pledge.
Again, Father, we come before you to thank you and to magnify your name. We thank you for this, your people who have come to do the business of the town of White Springs. We thank you for what you've done, for what you're doing, but most of all, God, for how you've been to us, God, as you have blessed us, and you will take us to higher heights and deeper depths in you. And we thank you and we magnify your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. Roll call, Mary Berry.
Here.
Nicole Williams.
Here.
LaRita McCallum. Jacqueline Williams. Present. Anita Rivers present. We have a quorum. We will continue. Any additions, deletions, and or amendments to the agenda?
I have an addition. I want to bring up the resolution as well as the administrative policy, administrative SOPs and employee manual.
You want that under new business?
Yes, please.
8E. We'll add, SOP and
The
policy and
SOP
procedures.
and the administrative standard operation procedures and the employee handbook manual, as well as the resolution we passed on January the 10th. Resolution number 23-05.
What was the resolution number again? I'm sorry.
23-05.
Any other additions, deletions, and or amendments to the agenda?
Can we, under new, business, can we change the order?
Sure.
Make A, D, everything else we
Make D A.
Yes.
Okay.
No, make
A, D.
yes.
Okay. Just switch them around.
Yes.
Okay. Any other additions, deletions, and or amendments? All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Audre Williams move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Can I get a second on the motion?
I'm Mary Berry, second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, citizens from the floor, Ms. Beth Daniel, if you'll come forward, state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Beth Daniel. I live at 16613 Spring Street. I just had a quick question because I noticed on the agenda that we have a new business and a complaint. And it may be for you or the attorney, I don't know. Is it appropriate for the town council meetings to take comments from non-residents that does not pertain to the business of the town council?
Any complaint made on another council member has to come before the council.
But if the complaint is not really regarding the town council members' activity within town council and her performance, or his performance, as the case may be, is it appropriate for that to become, for this meeting to become a forum for a complaint like that?
It is. I'll let Joel explain it more.
In ordinary circumstances, no, right? You would expect that to be heard elsewhere, but because of the way the town charter's set up, it opens the door for that kind of thing to happen in a council meeting. So it's very unusual, but because of the way the charter's written, yes, it can happen. Okay, so just to be, we'll go through it during the meeting, but your point is understood and well taken, but it's because of a peculiarity with the town charter.
So we have a peculiar town chart.
You do.
What is the problem?
Been that way.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, because the original complaint came 2 or 3 months ago, had absolutely nothing to do with the business. It started to grow to something, but that original comment was,
I don't know if you remembered, the same situation pretty much happened with Helen Miller. It's the same process.
I wasn't here when I was saying that. Okay, well, I just wanted to ask the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the February 14th, 2023 town hall meeting?
Jacqueline move that we approve the minutes for the February 14th, 2023 town hall meeting.
Can I get a second on the motion?
Amir Berry, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Old business, ordinance 2023-01, second reading of Wesson Street. Attorney Foreman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Second reading, ordinance number 2023-01, an ordinance of the town of White Springs, Florida, permanently vacating an unopened portion of Wesson Street, a road within the town's road system, and providing an effective date.
Okay, this is to, give access of the unopened portion of Wesson Street to, Ms. Saxby. Ms. Saxby.
You're hiding behind the podium.
So can I get a motion to approve ordinance 2020?
I'm sorry, you have to open a public hearing.
Oh, okay. Open a public hearing for it. Any public comments on this?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, because it's just unused land that
Right.
makes perfect sense. So that's my comment.
Any other comments? All right, we'll close the hearing part of that, and I'll open it back up to the meeting and ask for a motion to pass ordinance number 2023-01.
Jacqueline move that we pass ordinance 2023-01, second reading, Wesson Street.
Can I get a second on the motion?
Amir Berry, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so now you got your little.
Congratulations.
All right, ordinance 2023-02 is the second reading for the tobacco-free.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Foreman.
Second reading ordinance number 2023-02, an ordinance of the town of White Springs, Florida, prohibiting smoking and vaping in public parks within the town of White Springs and providing an effective date.
All right, I'd like to open up the hearing for the public. Any comments on this? No comments? Okay, we'll close the hearing and go back into the meeting. Can I get a motion to approve ordinance 2023-02?
Jacqueline move that we approve ordinance 2023-02, second reading, tobacco free.
Thank you. Can I get a second on the motion?
And Amir Berry, second motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ordinance 2023-03, second reading of the water and sewer rates.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For second reading, ordinance number 2023-03, an ordinance of the town of White Springs, Florida, increasing usage rates for water and wastewater provided by the town's utilities and providing an effective date.
Okay, I'll open up to a public hearing for the public. Any comments, questions? No?
When is the effective date?
As soon as we pass this,
Okay.
it'll be on the next bill. The bills have already gone out for this cycle, so the next billing cycle. Any other questions? Comments? Close the public hearing, move back to the meeting. Can I get a motion to pass resolution, ordinance 2023-03?
Jacqueline move that we pass ordinance 2023-03, second reading, water and sewer.
Can I get a second on the motion?
And Amir Berry, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, under old business, we have D. Derek Sneed, a complaint brought to the council on February 14th, 2023. Mr. Foreman, if you'll tell us like what this
the procedure.
Well, and this will kind of follow in with the public comment, inquiring about this process. At the last meeting, when Mr. Sneed made his complaint, I stated at the end of the meeting that, you know, complaints like that should be brought to the Commission on Ethics. Because in just about every other jurisdiction I've worked in, that's what you do. You don't bring elected members of a council back before that same council for a determination of removal. You can have a determination of censure and other kind of sanctions, but not generally removal. That was inaccurate, and I went back and revisited the charter based on some information that was received by the town manager, and did prepare a memo end of last month, basically dealing with section 2.03 of the charter. Section 2.03 deals with vacancies, forfeiture of office, filling of vacancies, and extraordinary vacancies. It states that the council member forfeit his office if he, 1, intentionally misrepresents facts which are used to determine his eligibility for election or office, 2, willfully violates any express prohibition of the charter, 3, is convicted of a crime involving felony or moral turpitude, 4, fails to attend 3 consecutive regular meetings of the council without the council's approval, 5, moves his residence from the town of White Springs, 6, for malfeasance, misfeasance, or non-feasance in office, and then 7, when the town council determines by majority vote that there is reasonable cause to believe that any council member is disabled so as to be unable to perform his duties, such member may be compelled to submit to medical examination, and so on. The operative language for this evening, again, as I understand it, is subsection 2.03A8, that states that the council may, upon majority vote, shall notify the affected, the council, upon majority vote, shall notify an affected council member in writing of its intent to declare a seat forfeited for any of the reasons referenced above. So any of those 1 through 7 that were discussed. The affected council member shall have 7 days from the receipt of notice to provide the clerk with a written request for a hearing before the council for the purpose of providing evidence in opposition to the council's intended action. If the evidence presented is insufficient to overcome the identified reasons for forfeiture, the council may declare the seat forfeited and vacant, in which case the decision may be appealed to the circuit court. So when I say it's peculiar, it truly is in my view, in that by simple majority vote, the council can decide that one of those 7 provisions has been violated by another council member. They can then vote for removal based on forfeiture, and then the affected council member has a right to a hearing. And so that affected council member, based on what was said as the basis for why they were removed, is able to come to a subsequent hearing before the council and present evidence in opposition. So you kind of have 2 hearings. You have the first one where they decide if they want to remove, and the second one where the council member defends him or herself. If at that second hearing, the council is not persuaded that the person has not violated 2.03A, then they would vote to remove that member. That member would then, their recourse would be a direct appeal to the circuit court. So it's in the charter. Again, at the last meeting when I said that, you know, these kind of things generally don't happen in front of councils like this, I stand by that, but for the language of the charter. So, Madam Mayor, I know that the last thing I put in the memo was that, you know, the town manager and you could coordinate and determine whether or not this was something you wanted to put back on the agenda. It is back on the agenda. So I would just advise the council that if you proceed to take any action on Mr. Sneed's complaint, number 1, there need to be statements on the record as to the basis for moving forward with any action. And then there'll need to be a majority vote of the quorum present, so you need 3 votes. And then if that occurs, we'll need to give notice in writing as soon as possible, and then there'll be 7 days within which for the affected member to ask for a hearing. If a hearing is requested, it'd be my suggestion that hearing should happen within 30 days of the request for timeliness. There is no requirement in the charter for that effect, but that's what I would suggest. So with that having been said, in terms of the procedure, I'll hand it back over to you, Madam Mayor, to handle the item.
This complaint that's in here, is this is the one from February 14th?
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa?
Yes, so it's two complaints.
Because it says that he has a second, so like,
The second one is in here.
That's the second complaint.
this is second
The
one.
first complaint was of,
Last month.
malfeasance and misfeasance saying about, the qualifications, they weren't qualified, or they lied about their, record in order to get office. That's what the first complaint is about. That was wrong. Well, we can, let's, if possible, can we all combine it as one? Cause we'll have two conversations on the same thing when we get to the meeting.
Okay.
If possible.
If there are different complaints, let them be done separately. I want each complaint addressed separately. I have that right.
So the first one was when he came, I'm trying to remember.
The first one when he came and, he was saying about the record. From my, memory is about, her record. First they made a complaint and then they were saying something about the record. Now, don't quote me on that.
Let me see what the notes say. You remember exactly?
It's in the binders.
Yeah.
Remember the binders from last month?
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that he just did, we sent here.
Okay, so
is in
the first
binder
one
now.
was when
He
he was
said-
chased by the car.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
He stated that the second thing he wanted to mention concerning the incident from the last meeting, someone there stated that there was an open investigation and an incident, George should be discussing it. He was saying that that wasn't true. Then that was one, I'm reading it exactly from the minutes. There is a,
Yeah.
Florida statute that applies to making comments. The counselor asked Mrs. Smith who was referring to, what statement was made. Mrs. Steve answered, she made the comment, and the reason that he's bringing it up is that you already discussed it with other people. He also stated that White Springs had a hearing concerning someone else on the same issue. He stated that the counselor should look at the charter of moral turpitude. So I'm assuming that's his first complaint about moral turpitude. They went back and forth. Let's see. You made a false statement. Okay, let's see.
What exactly was the false statement? Because he kept saying that, but he never said what the statement was.
No, you said that.
No, he said that I discussed this previously with somebody else, which was a lie, because it had never been discussed previously. I never discussed what happened with Mr. Warren in Jasper in public with anybody. My cousin and I, in the personal confines of my car, I asked him questions, which is how Mr. Warren found out about it anyway. That was done by Eddie Allen. Okay, that was not a public discussion. And I made sure I said, Eddie, this is between me and you. I wanted to ask questions. Everyone got so upset because I asked him what happened before everybody started recording the video when he was snatched out the bleachers or however. Now, when I made the statement in January that shouldn't be discussed, because that was January the 10th, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Warren was not even served and charged until February the 14th. So technically that was still, it was no charges brought forth at that time. He had not been served any papers January the 10th, when I said that should not be discussed in this council meeting. Move on to the next one.
So, what would,
And as far
For
as
this
a
person,
record,
this
a
complaint.
criminal record from 1988 and 89, when I'm pretty sure some of y'all have been in trouble since then too. Since 88 and 89. Moral turpitude can go a long way with different ones in different areas. So if that's how we're going to do it, then I think everybody should go up on review.
the complaint was about being chased, is what my understanding. The main, complaint from January.
He was not being chased in the police, the sheriff's office, which is still open because they're waiting to see how the state attorney is going to handle this, because they did file charges on him for this incident. He has pending charges now on him for this incident. He tried to file charges on me. I got a letter from the state attorney saying that it was unfounded and dismissed. His charges against me was dismissed. What he didn't know when he came before the council is that while I was following him trying to get his tag number, I was on the phone with 911. So there was no chase, and the only chase was him driving through these streets, acting erratic and passing by my house, videoing my granddaughter 6 and 7 times. That was the only issue that I had. And then the fact that y'all are still allowing him to come here, and he's giving you, the first address he gave, he was being deceitful of in the beginning, because he gave a fake address over to Dr. Kaday's office. He gave the police department, the sheriff's office, he gave one address, and he's got a totally different address with this ethics complaint thing that if he really would have filed it, he wouldn't be showing it now, because it would be something he had to wait to do anyway. But all of this smoke screen stuff is for what? Moral turpitude.
Okay, so
what moral turpitude can you prove that I have done since I've been on this council? And if you want to go about records and stuff like that, then we can go about how different people have been fired from different jobs for money issues. It's a lot that can be done. Some people had to resign from jobs for excessive force. Moral turpitude of what? Because I wrote a check back in 88, 89 or something like that, and didn't come to find out if they would have completed their investigation, they would have found out that it was not Nicole who wrote the check. It was Nicole's account, but it was not Nicole. And it was actually more than one. It was 2 of them. One was in Hamilton County in 2000 and something, and it was still not Nicole's. Nicole's account, but Nicole's brother. So please tell me what moral turpitude, misfeasance, malfeasance, or any of this other stuff that you are letting someone who's not even a part of this community come and tell y'all. So what? Tell me what? If y'all have an issue with me, then you need to express it and stop using other people to do it.
That can go with the second complaint.
Well, let's go on to the second and the third. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be more.
We're not on the second complaint, we're going out of, remember, we changed the order.
Yeah, what, the second one is,
We doing, we're not doing.
So why are we waiting
yeah,
for the
okay.
second?
So the first complaint is regarding the stalking and all of that, whatever, the chasing and all of that through town.
Please speak that.
I don't know if
I wasn't
there's
stalking
any
you.
charges
You
being,
were stalking me.
Ms. Williams, I'm speaking now, you had your chance, so just wait until I recognize you.
Go
Then
ahead.
Speak, please.
Mhm.
Joel, if we don't know if he's has charges about this chasing thing, should we just?
So my advice to the council, again, you're creating an evidentiary basis for action that might be reviewed by the circuit court in the near future. So if you have any doubts or questions about the sufficiency of your evidence, my advice would be not to proceed.
Okay.
If you feel confident in the evidence that's been presented to you and you feel confident articulating the basis for your motion or your vote on the record, then that would be something that you could consider proceeding on. But the charter requires there to be one of these 7 grounds.
Okay.
And it has to be done in such a way that if it were Ms. Williams who was the target of the motion, she would have an opportunity to come back before the council and provide evidence. And so she needs to know the scope of the allegations against her.
Okay.
So it would not be, I think one thing the charter does do is it does not allow you to just come in and say, we want to vote off amendment, right? You have to have a basis.
Okay.
So if you have any concern about the sufficiency of your basis, my recommendation to avoid an appellate reversal would be not to proceed.
Okay. And I agree with Joel, if we don't know what happened with the whole chasing, I just saw pictures, it's not there. If he has allegations against him and he may be charged, I would feel better not proceeding in that part.
So then you put a motion?
Well, we gotta do the second complaint, are you gonna do it on
Either
the
one
motion
at
on
a
the
time.
first complaint?
So doing
Well, they're separate items. I mean,
Right, so they're
you could have the
different.
motion on this old business item, or you could have the motion when you hear the new complaint. The
Okay.
advice will be the same.
Our Jacqueline's move that we disregard and throw this complaint out due to
Complaint
lack
out.
of evidence.
Can I get a second on the motion?
And I very second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right.
So to be clear, so the motion was to dismiss the complaint.
Yes.
This person, yes. So we'll go to the new business, item D, the CDBG
No,
award.
opt out. Opt out.
Oh, I thought you said D.
D is last, excuse me, A is last, so we just move it down, we're doing the opt out.
Okay,
It's
okay.
not insurance.
So opt-out insurance, town manager.
Okay, so, what's been going on with practice has been that if they have insurance elsewhere, they can opt out of the insurance with the town. And they will be paid a portion of the insurance. So let me just read how this came about. So September 3rd, 2015, at the council meeting, Helen Miller had a question about opting out of the town's health insurance and wanted to know why Pam Thompson was being favored. Shirley Heath informed Helen Miller she did not show favoritism to an employee. Pam Thompson explained that in order to get the group rate, there must be at least 70% participation from employees. Helen would like to have the 2-3 insurance proposal presented to the council before they make a decision based on the information given. That's the only thing that was in the minutes for September 3rd. The reason I'm reading that is because we have a personnel policy that says the language was approved at a special meeting held on September 3rd, which we have no record of, and it says the town of White Springs has approved the following amendment to the employee personnel policy. Effective immediately, the following language is added to page 26, paragraph A. An employee may opt out of the town's provided health insurance coverage if said employee provides proof of personal health insurance coverage from a reputable insurance carrier. An increase of the cost of insurance will be calculated into the hourly wage of the employee and will be provided by the town. If the employee ever decides to return to the town provided health insurance plan, the employee will forfeit the increase in pay. The reason this is up is because we have several employees that are insured with their spouse, and they are not getting it out because the accountant does not have the ordinance or anything that's the evidence saying that this was approved. We just have it mentioned in the one that I read previously, but we don't have a resolution or ordinance that's saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do. So it's not included in the personnel policy, so when he tried to do it, we cannot. So what we're asking for with you all is this. Let me go back to it. Because there's no evidence, it's only mentioned and suggested. So if you approve it, you have to approve this because we have to make it effective, because we have to have it in the minutes, because we can't find it anywhere in the 2015 minutes. So if you approve it, I need to know what's the maximum amount of reimbursement and how much payment y'all are willing to pay per month. Also, what would be the retroactive date or the start date? Currently, and we notice as a practice, Ray was the only one that was here before any of us was here. He's getting the pay, but the other people are not. So he was saying that most of the people that was here, they were getting it like that with their spouses as well. But he's the only one we can go by, but we don't have any paperwork to follow.
Ray, do you know about how much Michelle paid for you?
How much town pays?
How much Michelle paid for you?
Not right on.
It's a calculation that he can do once he find out how much their insurance is, but he has to, first we have to get in, approval that we can do it. Then we have to find out how far back you're gonna pay the people, because they're supposed to get it, but they haven't get it.
So what do you need from us, just saying that we will approve it?
We have to
You
put
need
it-
an amount. and all that.
I need to know the maximum amount if you're gonna do it, or are you gonna retroact it? What's the maximum you're gonna let them get until you catch up a month? How much you gonna cap it at a month?
Or we can actually start it now, since it wasn't ever in existence, we can actually start it when we do the.
Well, it wasn't in existence on this, but we do have papers, but we don't have the documentation saying it was approved, but we know it was in existence because Ray is getting,
I was getting it.
and, okay. So, I don't know how to do it to make it fair, because the people, you know, they've been here, but we'll either have to go back to their start date, you know, or it's on the council.
If it hasn't been approved, then I mean, Ray was getting it, but I don't know if we should just start like now, like the 1st of January, we go back a year. I don't know that. That's up to the council, something that we all gonna have to agree on. Yes. Yes.
When I first started working in pretty much any businesses now are doing the opt-out for insurance. And that was a question that I asked when I first got. I said, well, I don't need insurance. Do we have that opt-out? And that was in 21 when I came. And of course, through the course of time, we're here now. So I will not feel good if we did not get it from retroactive from the date that I started here when I first asked about it. And the other part of that is, like you mentioned, Mayor Rivers, that you were getting it when you were here. Right now, currently, Ray is getting it, and he doesn't feel like that's fair either, that he's been getting it all this time. And there's money in the budget for it that's already been allotted. So, yeah, so it's not like the money is not there.
So let me ask you this, who all would it be? I know it would be you.
It's just the
Ray,
3 of us, well, 4 with Ray, with Curtis, because we're choosing to talk about the 3 that do not have it. Ray has it, but myself, Cynethia, and Curtis do not have it.
Okay. So, I mean, can I get a motion to approve that we do the opt-out and go back to the start date of the employees for full-time? Because Curtis wasn't always full-time.
True.
And an amount cap off, I would say no more than $400 a month.
Per employee?
Per employee. You don't pay more than $400 for a person in a month.
I know, you're saying what we're gonna be paying back. If we're going back, you're gonna be paying them $400 until we catch up. That's what you're saying.
Well, you said cap after, like, how much you say?
I mean, what's the cap you're gonna pay per month?
Oh, just to catch them up?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. what
Can I
y'all
ask a
think is
question?
fair.
I might be able to help.
Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
So, what do you think is fair then, 100, 200?
I don't know, but I'm just asking. Did you mean 400 a month per person? That's what I was asking. So
Okay, so what do y'all think?
We're gonna get additional $400 until we catch it up, is what you were saying. I was clarifying it for you, so you know what you were.
Yeah, how is it?
I thought that we were getting whatever it was and then continue, bring it from retroactive up until current.
That's what I was thinking.
And whatever
that's
that,
if
because
you-
the money is there, that's the whole
He asked
thing.
if that's what you want, but he asked me, he said, if it's retroactive, what would be the start date, which we've already established? And he said, how much repayment per month? The reimbursement amount, how much are you looking at? If you wanna say we just pay them everything that we owe until and then we start what we're gonna have, then I'll tell them that, I'll direct them to that.
If it's in the budget, I would think we just pay them what we owe them. And then everybody's up to date. I mean, that's on the council, y'all gotta help me out, I can't make it all by myself, I'm just throwing it out there.
And we do have enough money to pay them out.
Yes, budgeted, it's budgeted in there.
But do you have, so here's a question, I used to be an operations manager for a nonprofit. Do you have a formula for like what Ray was paid, what was the opt-out calculation for you? Because then you can determine where it's, you've got to have a place, so you say you want to pay him, that's great, but the question is, how much?
That's what he's asking, how much, but he does have a formula that he's taking, so he's looking at the insurance, and he's dividing by which portion of that insurance she's paying for her spouse.
So
So that's the portion that he's paying to them. I don't know the calculations but it is, that's why he's asking everybody to get their information from their spouse. What are they paying in the breakdown?
So can we get the information first so we can know the amount and then?
Well, you have to get the information from everybody and their spouse, and then he's gonna have to give y'all individual calculations. I'll tell him.
I think that'll be more reasonable to
That's usually not the way it's done. It's not per person, it's
Because
per
everybody don't pay
insurance.
the same amount.
Right, because the federal, somebody's spouse at the federal government, their insurance is a little bit different, but then they also have children on that. So their rate is a little bit different than, let's just take Ray and his wife, because it's just them two. His is very easy, because it's just them two, there's no children involved. But then you take Audre, whose husband worked for a private company, then that's different than the federal insurance. So I don't know how the rate is, to be honest. I know the accountant has his form and his calculations, but he's asking everybody for their insurance information so he can calculate.
Well, I would suggest that they try to get it as, I know the longest one gonna take is 30, so he just need to get on there and get his information, or he just won't get paid.
Yeah, everybody pretty much
Just
has
make
that
sure
stuff
you
in.
let him know he needs to get it as soon as possible.
Okay.
So what are we saying? What are we saying?
Michael just gotta tell us how much we owe to you, and then we'll see if we can pay it all at once. Correct?
Right.
Okay. So we gotta wait another month?
And it'll be from your start date.
We gotta, for the start date. He gotta do the calculation. They don't know how much they're approving.
So you can't approve money blindly.
But it's in there, that's my whole thing. I promise you, not that I got all the money, but I'm saying, if we did not have the money, and I know the part that what the town is doing and what we're doing, I promise you, I was just like, no problem, go ahead on. But the money is there, and we're still asking what, who, what, where, and when. And Ray is getting it, not putting Ray on the spot, but Ray is getting it. We're not.
But isn't this the first time this came before the council?
No.
Before, yeah.
Well, before this
Yeah,
Yeah, for this council, yes.
So let's be fair to us. Now, you saying that, I understand that y'all have been working and you haven't gotten it, but this is the first time it's come to us.
But what's the question about the amount when it's there, I guess is the question that I'm asking.
Because I'm trying to be a good steward of the people's money. I know you're saying it's there, but I don't know. Until, he could come back and say it's $30,000 a person, which I know he wouldn't,
Yes.
but how would I know that he would not say that? And then that's not being a steward of the citizens' money. But you all are worth every dime.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
But in good conscience, though, it's the first time it's come up, and, we just need to.
Okay, so, Vanessa, you got that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So ARPA funding.
Okay, ARPA funding, I would like permission to separate the ARPA funds into a separate account. And I want to do this because you can only spend ARPA funds on 4 specific things. Now, we've already have items that we want to spend the ARPA funds for. And on one of them is the sewer, we're redoing the sewer, but because of our previous audit, from the previous years past, they're saying we don't have the funds in order to do the initial $40,000 in planning. Well, I did tell them that we do have it in ARPA funds, they qualify for this. And we do have this money, so we just need to show verification that we haven't even spent a dime. Actually, we haven't spent a dime of our ARPA money. So we're gonna show them verification without giving them our whole bank account. So they'll just see the ARPA funds and show that we have it. This also makes it easier when we're doing accounting and we're reporting back to the federal government and the state as how we use the ARPA funds instead of having it mixed in with our whole bank account and saying, oh no, this was for this, this, but if it's just ARPA funds, we can just say, hey, this is it. And we can show proof, like I said, to DEO.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve Vanessa moving the ARPA money to a separate account on its own?
Jacqueline has moved that the town manager move the ARPA funds into a separate account.
Can I get a second?
I very second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, CDBG award, Vanessa.
All right. Oh, I tell you. So, the town has been awarded $600,000. to work on, for the CDBG grant, I always get those letters mixed up, that the town voted to do for housing. So, me and Joe been working together, and then we, Jordan and Associates, they're gonna do the application price, application and everything, to help us out with all that in order to, give it to the town. So right now, we've been awarded, and we're just waiting on the, procurement, and then from the state, with Jordan and Associates to accept that. Remember, they were the only ones that bid it, and then we'll go from there. We'll put it out there, post it to the town, so residents can apply. The job
And just for the
is,
people that don't know, that money, will do rehabs for housing for people, and, it'll go by different, criteria. But the lady said that she would be willing to come in and help the citizens fill out the forms completely so they can get it.
That lady has presented a couple times.
Yes, yes.
Kathy Baker.
Yeah, Miss Kathy Baker.
Okay.
So once we get to that part, the citizens will definitely be notified when to apply. Yes, ma'am.
Do you need that money in a separate account too?
no,
Or
this
would
is,
that be easier for you?
no, the state will, as we go, the state will say, okay, here's this fund. I don't think we have to put that in a separate account. I don't know. They usually don't give us that whole amount at one time. I'm not sure how that goes. This is our first time with the CDBG grant, so I'm not sure how it is. Mr. Foreman?
Yeah, your grant administrator is gonna direct a lot of your operations with the money. It's one of the grant actually requires you to have that administrator for that very reason. So the monies will be marshaled, and spent, as much as possible on the purpose of the grant, which will be the improvement of the homes.
And just to go back to, the other, the ARPA funds, I have, the email from Mr. Richards with, DEO, and they were asking for the bank statement showing the ARPA funds available in the account, which we use to make a one-time payment instead of using funds from pledged revenues. That's the reason why we're gonna do the separate bank account, is DEO pretty much requested. But it did request it, not pretty much.
Sometimes 6.
Is that it?
Yes.
Any more questions?
Uh-huh.
All right, Ms. Williams, SOPs and policy and procedures and employee handbook, resolution 23-05.
Okay, we'll start with the resolution. When this, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second resolution that we've done for, conduct and harassment and stuff like this at town hall. Now, my question was, is this just for employees, or is this for council staff, or what? What exactly? Because I was under a different impression when this was brought up. I thought this was about everybody dealing with town hall, council members, employees, and volunteers. Or is this just for paid employees? Is my first question.
Resolution, so I don't know.
Are those the rules of the quorum?
No, that's.
No, this is the resolution they passed January the 10th. So this is the second one, because the first one I know included council members. Because it was about some dealings with Joe Griffin and how he comes and addresses the people.
Can you read the title?
But I want a clear understanding on that one.
What year was that? January what?
That was just 2 months ago.
23?
January 10th.
And the other one came around August or July or something like that last year. So it was one done in 22, and then it was also this one in 23. The other one you all passed after Joe Griffin called Vanessa a lying black dog, or whatever it was he called when he fell. You passed one a couple of months later.
So the resolution, this resolution is intended to protect employees from harassment in the workplace. I don't have our personnel policies and procedures, but generally harassment by someone that's controlled by the town is already prohibited. This is prohibiting conduct from people outside.
No, I'm not tying those in together. Those are separate issues
I know.
altogether.
You were asking what does
I'm
this apply
asking
to?
specifically about that resolution. And in an essence, this is my job. So are we as council members protected from that harassment? Or is that just for Audre, Vanessa, and Cynethia, and Ray, and Clerk, and Chucky?
So any harassment based on, again, race, color, national origin, religion, gender, sexual orientation, disability, pregnancy, age, political affiliation, military status, any other characteristic protected by federal, state, or local law is what that's going to capture, okay? So that doesn't necessarily mean all mankind, right? Because particularly with elected officials, I'm an elected official down in Columbia County, we're expected to catch a certain amount of First Amendment speech, right? Because it's pure political speech. There is a line that can be crossed.
Right.
And that's where the rules that I would sort of look to in that regard would be the rules of decorum, right? Which I think we adopted a couple of years ago, maybe 18 months ago. That's where those rules would stand between you as a council member and a member of the public who is getting out of order.
Okay, now, I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Because my question now is, when I asked for Mr. Sneed to be removed because of all the harassment and stalking he had been doing, the 3 council members that are here voted to allow him to stay, which directly went against the resolution we voted on a couple of years ago. So how does that work? Because you put something into place and because, for whatever reasons, you allowed it to happen anyway, even after I stressed what was going on.
So procedurally, the rules of decorum are the rules of the council, okay? And they're subject to waiver. And so if you'll remember during the meeting, I counseled
Right,
you
but
about...
that was later on because this...
I understand.
Okay.
So I counseled you about raising a point of order, right? So when you're not the chair, the way you ask the chair to take action is through saying point of order, right? Which is essentially what you did. I would like to have a vote on why we're not following this procedure. And that's what you got, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to that vote.
Right, but my question is, why would you put these resolutions into place if you're not going to do them? Is it only when it's one of somebody else? Or are we not all supposed to be equal on this council? Because nobody has power on the council. Council is 5 people.
Right. And so
no one person on the council has power.
Right. And
So therefore, what I'm asking is, and what I'm trying to get a clear understanding is, if we have this in place, why are we not going by it? And I feel like in a way that is discrimination.
Can I address that?
let me just address the legal aspect of that. This is where you kind of cross over on a line, right? So legally, the rules of decorum are subject to waiver by the council, right? Because they're the council's rules. And so when you call for that point of order, you say, hey, I think you should enforce this rule, and then they vote 3-4, whatever the total was, I don't know what the vote total was, because I think we had some people moving in and out. They vote not to enforce the rule, that's a waiver, okay? So legally. Now, you're asking the question, should and shouldn't, right? Should you do that or should you not do that? That's a policy decision. So that's where the 5 of you as individual elected officials apply your own policy to the vote. So I just want to make sure I'm being fair to you in answering your question fully. Okay. The should and shouldn't part comes down to the 5 of y'all individually.
Right, which brings me to the administrative SOP. Because it is clearly written in the SOP that type of behavior is not allowed. Even from the day of January the 10th when Mr. Sylvester Warren told me I was a disloyal piece of shit. That's in the administrative SOPs, and to my knowledge, we have not voted to change the SOPs. But I do have an issue with the administrative standard operating procedures as well as the employee manual. I had requested for an employee record, and I do not see where this employee or any employees that have been hired as of late have signed the employee manual. And in order to get a paycheck, it is clearly written, and we have not voted to change it, that you cannot receive a paycheck from this town if that book has not been signed and in your file. And I want to know why no one has signed it, why it was not brought to our attention that it has not been signed, and we need to do something about it because I'm not setting a precedent to allow it to go on any further. So what I am saying is either they need to get it signed or something needs to happen until they get it signed. They shouldn't be collecting paychecks for the first one. The second one was the scope in them have changed in a matter of 3 weeks. I requested a copy of the administrative SOPs as well as the employee handbook, the manual, and the first copy I had, my granddaughter spilled apple juice on it. I kept it anyway. I requested a second copy. The second copy had been changed from the first copy. So therefore, I called 2 former town managers as well as another employee, and I asked them if they had their copies of these papers. They all said yes, sent me copies. My attorney has them at the moment, but they have been changed. And I want to know who changed them, who authorized them to be changed, because that has to go before the council to change them. But they have been changed, and I do have the proof of them being changed. So therefore, if that question cannot be answered, I'm calling for an investigation into who changed it and why. So for the record, Mr. Foreman, can you please state what is the difference with the SOP? Once again, I know you did it at the last council meeting, but I think everybody needs to get a clear understanding about the charter, the administrative manuals, and the administrative SOPs, and who can change them and how they can be changed.
Okay, so the charter is the people's law, the people's rule for you guys, the council. The administrative codes, the policies and procedures, things like that are y'all's regulations of your employees and the town's operations. So it's layered up, okay? They're both important, but they're important for different reasons, okay? And then you also have bylaws and your procedural rules and things like that we've talked about. That's your interplay with the law. Just again, another charter issue, what Councilperson Nicole Williams just brought up was under section 2.04, where when questions like the kind that she's asking have been raised, if it's the council's pleasure, you can order an investigation. Okay, so I don't know the answers to any of your questions tonight. I'm writing them down as you're asking them. No, I understand. And so if the council wants those questions answered, the appropriate mechanism will be to order an investigation.
Now, let me ask this question.
I do have,
you gave her the copies of the?
Yes, we found them about a year ago. When we first got here, there was nothing.
Right.
We accessed, not even a charter. Tommy Jones, former town manager, had put one in the electronic file, so we got that one. These were found in somewhere in little files outside there.
Right.
And we have a copy of them here. But we don't have access to any electronic. I don't know who's fixing to retype all that stuff that's in those manuals.
Right.
So
And some of that
I don't
stuff
know.
was never transformed over to the right.
In the 3-week
Yeah.
period,
So
I was
today-
given 2 different SOPs.
and that could be,
It's changed.
that
It
could
could
be.
be, yeah.
And let me tell you why.
I know.
What happened today?
I told Audre to bring her charter in,
Mm-hmm.
because we
Right.
were looking at something with the position.
Yes.
I had a digital copy because I didn't have one. So I printed me a copy. She told me what we were looking at was on page 19. It wasn't on my page 19. But if you go to the digital copy, the table of contents is the same amount of pages. The table, we can go in there now without me touching
Yes,
anything.
it's still on
The
the
table
table.
of contents is in the back. So,
But
wait a minute,
George
for
had
some
a different
reason,
charter,
it's out
right? Your
of
charter
order.
was missing pages.
His-
you
yeah, that's
originally
why-
had?
Yeah.
Oh,
Before you
that,
reviewed
no, that was my fault.
Oh, okay.
I just had my pages out of order.
Okay, okay.
Well,
But I
the
do
charter
know
that I have is different from Audre's.
Yes.
Now, both of them say 2012.
12, yes.
So what we have is what we scraped together and found in here. So if they have a book and it's a paper copy, it's different than that one that I have on my computer. Like I said, the writing, everything is the same, except the pages are out of order, out of sequence. The table of contents is in the back. Now, I don't know if it's two separate policy things because we only have the paper copy, which she could have received, and if she got it on that computer from somebody else, she could have got that one as well. Now, that's why I say she may be right on that, but we're not changing it.
Yeah.
We don't have time to
Well,
change it.
somebody had to change it because from one week to the other, I got one the end of
We can go
December, the other one I got the 1st of January.
Agree on that.
And the only thing that had been changed was that it included where it had the scope of who was governed by it and who it affected, who it didn't affect. It had the council, contractual employees, and then all of a sudden, in the new one, it also included the town manager. We never voted to change it.
But I would like to see.
The first one I've had, I got the copy, well, my attorney has them right now, but it had to be changed because no other employee that I have contacted, that even the ones that have been gone in the past year, all of theirs are the same as the original one that I had received. The only one that's different is the last one the last copy that I got. So if none of you know anything about it, then I think that the best thing to do is to do an investigation to see when it changed, how it changed, and who changed it.
I don't have a problem with that. I think some of it could have happened because Tommy did do some other,
Yes.
policy thing he typed up at one time.
But Tommy's
So,
with Matt Stacy's.
I'm just saying, I know he did some other
Yes.
things.
Yeah, but
I'm
the
not
ones
saying
I got
that
from
is the
Tommy-
one, but I do know. And
The one I
so
got from Tommy matches
it
the
could
one
be
I got
different
from
copies in
Stacy,
the computer.
which is the same one I got from Helen as well as from Tracy.
Hey, I would say.
Everybody else is
investigate.
different
Yeah,
except for the
that's
last
I
copy.
don't have a
is
problem with it.
That's the simplest thing to do is do the
Right.
investigation.
I would love that because nothing is what.
Nothing is matching
Nothing.
and it's not our
Nothing.
fault.
That's what I'm telling you,
It's
do
nothing.
the investigation.
So
Yes.
if you do order an investigation, one of the things I'd recommend you ask the investigator is for a definitive answer or opinion. What is the current estimate?
Right.
So
Which
in
one is
addition to
current?
finding out, as Ms. Williams is asking, what happened,
Right.
also tell us, because our staff can't necessarily determine it,
Yeah.
they know. Have
Right.
that person determine this is the latest and greatest council approved
Right.
version, and that's what you have.
Right.
And then that can settle this question.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I agree.
Yes.
So do we need to make a motion on that?
Yes.
too?
Yes.
I, Jacqueline Williams, move that we have an investigation regarding the SOP and the administrative, operating manual.
Can I get a second on the
And
motion?
Nicole Williams will second that motion.
Yeah, I know. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So we're going on to Derek Sneed's second complaint. Now explain this one a little more.
You talking to me or you talking to Foreman?
You.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Sneed made a complaint, and this one was about a 911 call that took place at the last council meeting. Now, in this complaint, Mr. Sneed, he has his own little write-up on here. But now, in this one, malfeasance and misfeasance, you have, it was several false statements that was in this, that was made that was untrue.
Right.
And the 911 call, I played the 911 call, and the reason I say malfeasance is because it was done intentionally to defame and, the council members.
Right.
It was stuff that was said that can't be proven, that has no basis, no, nothing. Let me go ahead to it, hold on. And then also misuse of 911 is what Mrs. Sneed is, claiming.
Because we
Police
had
department can do the same
because
thing.
they had two officers.
Two officers here on.
Exactly, and they couldn't do anything unless you all directed them to.
the two officers on duty, if we had two officers on duty and it was nothing that was immediate danger, I'm quite sure the officers are trained, but because the officers didn't act how a certain person was, they took it upon themselves to call 911. We had an actual emergency at that particular time that was called like maybe 2 minutes before. And let me get to the
Please do.
Let's see.
But while you're looking for that, I'm gonna go ahead and make this comment.
I got it right here.
Okay, well, come on, you can hear it. Cause I know I made it, everybody was in here when I did it, but go ahead.
911, what is your emergency? Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, there should be an officer there.
No, I'm gonna take this.
Right. It's more, I'm stopping it because the first thing was somebody said that she had to have a restraining order. But when she came into the meeting,
He was sitting here
He
and
was-
nothing was ever.
but she said, oh, you hear them now
He
one,
was
has a
not here when I
restraining
first
order,
came in
and
here.
they already know, number one, nobody from the town knew of this restraining,
Right.
this supposed this restraining order.
Right.
And they also made the comment, I wanted to say this for the record, I didn't tell y'all because I wanted Joel to hear and say, I didn't talk to Joel about it because I wanted to say it for the record that I have a restraining order or what have you. So if you're saying it for the record, no way could we have known that you had a restraining order. That's number one.
Right.
You lied to law enforcement.
I didn't lie to no law enforcement, I did
It's
file
not
an
an
injunction.
argument at this point. Just
Hold on,
listen to
Hold
the
on,
911.
but no, I wanna hit every point while we're there, so it don't have to be nothing to go back.
Okay, go ahead.
So pause it, please. When I made that statement, I said I had just filed an injunction on Mr. Sneed.
And that we knew.
I did not say you knew anything.
Okay,
I'll play it.
play it.
That's not what I said.
You must not listen to
No,
your
no, no.
911
When
because
when I told y'all that, when I called 911, I told y'all that I just filed an injunction and y'all wouldn't do anything about it. When he
That's not your
said,
comment
hold
on
on,
here.
when he said that there was 2 officers there, I said, yes, but they can't do anything without the
That's what they're here for.
council, without the council
as he told you on 911.
telling them to do it. Now, the purpose of my 911 call, since everybody want to go ahead and go there, was to make sure that it was documented again that Mr. Sneed was once again harassing me. And everybody was sitting here when I made the call, so I mean, I don't know why that's.
No, you went outside.
I was sitting here
Just
when I made the call. And then I walked out the door. I sat right here in this seat and got
Okay,
mad.
In the meeting and they were not meant to be. Okay, so there should be an officer there. Yeah, but he can't leave or do anything now because he's in the meeting.
And I was sitting here.
So you need an officer at the town hall meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there should be an officer there. That's what I'm saying.
Just one moment, please.
What's your name, ma'am?
And the town council, the mayor, the vice mayor, and Mary would not have him removed because they said it's at the discretion of the town, but I just filed an injunction on him for harassment and stalking, and he's here. They knew this before they allowed him to come in.
You said Nicole Berry's your name?
Oh, I did, because I told Cynethia
No, I
and I
don't
did
know
it. I went to go back.
Gary Gable or Barry Gable or Derek Sneed. But I filed an injunction for him 2 days.
Was he served? Do you know if he was served?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. They said he would be today, so they don't know because he's giving so many false addresses.
Let me look it up real quick. but like I said, there should be a deputy that is there.
It's 1 year, but they have to stay inside, and they can only remove him if the council says, and the 3 crooked council members say no.
No, ma'am, that's not the way that works. He has to handle an emergency. He can handle the emergency that's there.
Well, they said that only the lawyer, the town's attorney, Joe Foreman, said only the mayor can have them removed. And it's only at the mayor's discretion.
You know, I'm protected.
But you know you didn't go down, don't you?
You didn't finna go down, don't you? Like, there's no confidence.
I told you then, before you dismissed the meeting, I had no longer had a vote of confidence in you all. Because y'all allowed.
That has nothing to do with you saying that me going down, that's plotting.
That ain't plotting. The truth gonna set you free anyway. You gonna meet your I don't have to be plot tonight.
He's here again. My granddaughter is here. What would they answer 911? Because you
Talking to Brad right now outside the door.
Because I walked out the door. I sat here and made the phone call. And if you go watch me video, you will see I sat here and made that.
Just one minute, this man is here again. And they are using votes to allow him to
You
stay
can
here.
speak to the deputy. Thank you.
911 hung up.
So
No,
it's
it's
the defamation of character.
There was no defamation going
I
on.
said the 3 crooked councilmen, but you don't have any
Proof that we
relevance,
were
any
crooked.
proof to call these ladies crooked. It's
So,
defamation
hold
of
on.
character for one.
And the other
First
thing
of
is
all,
that
you're
you're going
saying
down for
that
this.
them
That's
going
plotting.
down.
That ain't plotting. That's
Now,
saying
you're working
that
it-
you are doing things that you should not be doing, and it is
What
my
have I
duty-
done illegally that I should not be doing? What have I done?
Do you want to go there here?
I want to know what I've
Well, I got
done.
text messages. Let's not go there right now. Please don't. Just what? You want to see the text message?
Nikki,
Nita,
this is
don't.
on you. Don't try to bring it on here. What
It
have
ain't
you-
bringing down
Okay.
on nothing on nobody.
This
First
is-
of
this
all,
okay
as
has to
I
do with
said that you knew that I had the injunction. That
We
I
didn't,
had-
how did we know that?
Because I sat right here and told you.
No, you did not. You just said you told our Cynethia.
No,
That's not the
in
council.
the meeting,
You just said you told our Cynethia when you
All
came in.
right.
Hold on.
Girl,
I'm not arguing about it no more because I know what was said.
this is enough.
well, it don't matter, it's a whole video that's recorded every week.
That's
And
fine.
on the video, you clearly hear me say, before the meeting was dismissed, because I would no longer
You
let you
told
go
us
on.
during the meeting, you said
And
I
I-
got a restraining
and I
order.
made the 911
But no,
call
you did
afterwards.
not have a restraining order because when the 911 asked you that, you said, I don't know. That's your
He
word.
said this date was he served,
Well, then-
I said I
If
did
he
not.
not served, then how he supposed to know? If you served,
Because
if I'm
he
not
didn't-
served, how do
He
I know?
was given, he didn't even come to court because he's been given
At that
out
particular
so
time, you
many
don't have a court
different
date?
addresses.
Okay, I'm done. But
So therefore,
that's- okay.
when I stated in the council meeting before it was, put on hold or whatever you wanna call it, I said it beforehand that I filed an injunction on him. I said that in the meeting. So if you wanna sit there like I'm lying, go look at the video since you got the 911 call, match the 911 call with the video. Because I stated it in the meeting that I had filed an injunction on him. The same way I told y'all how he had been passing by my house videoing my granddaughter.
Okay, now.
And that he has been to my house several times before, getting out of his car, walking around my mom's house, taking pictures. I told you all of that in here. And when you refused to remove him is when I sat in this chair and dialed 911 because Officer Brad them could not do anything unless the chair told him to do it. I knew that. That's why I sat here and made the call, because I wanted to go on record once again that Mr. Sneed was once again harassing. Nothing this man has said, all of this stuff he's been doing has been a personal vendetta because of the comments he's been putting on Facebook since Sylvester put that post on Facebook about me. He started commenting and then he started going on, which is the same post you said when he first put the post, Mayor Rivers, and we can put it on record, you said some people can be brought. Shaking my head, still got slave mentality. You said that. I got the picture of it. Yes, you did. So who can be brought? Who was brought?
Okay.
So you want to talk about defamation?
My whole thing is you
no,
did not
you
make
want to talk
911
about
video. I watched the YouTube video. You got up and left to make the 911 call.
I called 911
Yeah, but
sitting
then you
here.
finish the conversation.
But you did not finish the conversation. You said,
I walked out the door when Jacqueline walked back there, come Vanessa them. I walked on out the door.
It doesn't make any difference. I don't have any confidence because she's plotting against me.
I don't have any confidence because y'all are doing stuff you shouldn't be
The town.
doing. And I'm not fighting against the town. And let's not go on what the town, because in those same SOPs that have been being changed mysteriously, there is a point in there that says that your off-duty conduct, and this is for employees, cannot, the off-duty conduct cannot be, wait, how did it say? The off-duty conduct cannot be used against you unless, and it has 4 points. One, the first point says unless it impairs the reputation of the town. Well, we're gonna go there, Vanessa, you have done that. Then the second point says that a refusal or reluctance of people to work with you. People don't want to work with you. People don't want to work with the town because of the stuff that y'all are doing here.
Well, I think the town is doing really good.
Well, that's your opinion, but when you talk to people...
Order, that's enough.
No, I was talking, so how you gonna stop me?
Because we have heard all that. What you're discussing now has nothing to do with this
Well,
complaint.
their sneak complaints had nothing to do with nothing going on.
We're on this complaint.
So, go ahead.
So,
Just say nobody wanna work, that's
there's a
Vanessa.
You may not wanna work.
No, Vanessa, we had a council meeting where you told people you didn't trust white people. Then you ooh, baby. October the 8th, 2022 council meeting. You sat there and said, I don't trust white people, then you changed it real fast to white Springs people. When Sharon...
She didn't say white people, never.
Yes,
she
she
said
did.
with you all.
No, she did not. Sharon, not Sharon, it was Cheryl sat there and asked, well, what can we do to work together?
She said, I don't trust you.
No, you said, stop bashing us on Facebook. Then she said, I don't trust you white people. Then she changed it real fast to white Springs people. Yes, she did. And pull the video and I prove it.
But we're on this complaint.
No, we're on all complaints.
No, we're not. I have the floor. I am the chair. And I tell you right now. I'm telling you right now, we're dealing with this complaint.
Well, go ahead and deal with the complaint, then I'll deal with yours. Let's go.
There's nothing else on the agenda for you. You did your SOP and your
You're
got
right.
your investigation.
And you're right.
So, how would the council like to proceed with this complaint? Does anybody have anything to say?
You better make sure it's valid though. So go ahead. Because you're dealing with his complaint, not the 911 call or what I said on it. You're dealing with his complaint. So make sure whatever you do.
Nicole, I don't need you to counsel me. I have Joel here for that. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, you better listen to him sometimes.
I always listen to Joel.
Whatever you do.
So, how would the council like to proceed on this complaint? Vanessa, you mentioned a 911 call in here, but I didn't see it in this, is it in this complaint?
No.
Yeah, that's the whole thing right there is on the,
Yeah, but this is about the address and pictures and it doesn't, I don't see anything about the 911 call.
Go watch the video.
He put his comments on there about the 911 call, but that was when they were chasing.
No, it's not. This is my statement of the restraining order I did on Derek Sneed, and he went through and stamped it and put other stuff up there. Y'all need to learn how to read and comprehend because that's not what the complaint is.
can't believe that.
Didn't I just say it has nothing to do with the 911 call? Would you like a Q-tip?
No, I don't need one. You might need
Okay.
it.
But, so we're doing this complaint about, I guess, chasing again, because that's what this complaint is. Yeah. So it's a replica of the first complaint. Only thing that's on here is the red marks are his comments.
You can't say those are his comments.
But those, yeah, I don't know who stamped it really, but I mean, I suppose they're his comments. So, what is the pleasure of the council for this complaint?
I doubt anyone will dismiss this complaint.
Can I get a second on the motion?
I'm Mary Berry, second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All All right, so we'll go on to departmental and administrative comments. Anything from the public? Any comments from the public? All right, town manager, you have anything else?
Do you still wanna do the Azalea Festival? It's supposed to be 80% chance of rain.
We'll call it on Friday morning when we know exactly like what the times are for the rain. It could be early morning, could be late evening. We'll see what it says for Saturday. We'll call that Friday and let everybody know by.
Social media.
We'll put it on the festival page, our personal pages for the few that have access to them, and we'll post a note.
Are we expecting rain Saturday morning?
80%. We don't know what time the rain's coming
Oh,
in.
okay.
We won't know till probably Friday. They'll say like what times.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll notify everybody Friday. We're having a Taste of White Springs either way Friday night, from 6 to 8 at the tourism center. So we'll know more then.
Quick question on that. Who's chairing that? Because I've got some food to donate to that.
You just bring it to the center, like
By
around
what
5:30.
time?
About 5:30.
5:30.
Yeah, it starts from 6 to 8.
Okay.
So anybody that wanna bring a sweet, some kind of dessert,
Mine's real food. I mean, I'm not,
Oh, okay.
I mean,
That's fine.
pre-dessert food.
that's fine.
Main course food.
It's from 6 to 8 on Friday, and the tickets are $5.
Okay.
And you get to taste all the
Thank you.
sweets and the food free. I mean, not free, but $5. All right, fire department's not here tonight.
This they are in the bag.
Oh, yeah. You have anything you wanna update us on, or? No?
It's going great.
Good. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Utilities, Ray?
Just, working with Windstream, they're running new fiber throughout town. Give y'all, I guess, better, doing away with all the old lines, getting some water lines, finding some water lines, so,
Okay.
just,
Any idea when they'll be finished?
When will it be finished? Any idea?
Finished. I'm guessing 2 more months.
What are they putting in, Ray? Is it cable?
Yeah, it's fiber.
Or like
That old cable that they have now, like, you see them putting in new boxes and all. So they've got most of Swan Extension, Willie Johnson, Mill, Summer Mill, all out on 3rd Street, across the railroad tracks, going out to the water plant. They're gonna start probably next week out on Osceola, Jackson Street, Diamond. And then from there they'll go to Kendrick, all the way down to, Kenneth Hutchinson Memorial. And then from Mill Street, 2nd Street, all the way going east on Mill Street to Adam Memorial.
What is the cable for, though?
It's just better.
Better cable just than what we have.
Yeah, they're just upgrading.
Yes, we'll see.
Yeah, it is.
Then, I guess,
I need that.
after that, they'll do, River Street. A lot of it's aerial, like 41 called DOT, they're not gonna allow any more in the plow on 41, so, or 136, so. This is a lot of aerial.
All right. That's it?
So,
Does the council have any comments?
I think I do.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I'm Mary Berry, and I'm not here, I'm about ready to opt out. Because I'm not here for Anita, Jacqueline, Nicole, or Vanessa. I'm here for the town because I feel like they put me, the peoples in the town put me in here. And I'm trying to hold on a little bit, but all of this fussing and arguing and loud talking and everything, we need to put a stop to this. We need to put a stop to it. And I just had to say that. I don't know.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
And you. Definitely you.
I mean, the council didn't start out this way, and I know where it went left, but it was done. And people just can't accept that change happened, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm just gonna lay it out there. I know where it started with me and Nicole was when I
Not true.
motion for her to be vice mayor.
Not true.
My reason for that, like I said before, was because as vice mayor, when Nicole was my vice mayor, I had no help at all with anything. I had to do every event this town held last year by myself, with the help of these ladies that work here already in the office. And that was unfair to them because they already had their jobs to do, and then they have to come help me set up for this event or that event or plan it or whatever. So I felt that I needed to make a change because I knew that Jacqueline Williams is a dedicated hard worker, and when she puts her mind to an event, she's gonna get it done. And I appreciate the help she has given me. And so I feel like that's where it went left with me and Nicole. I'm not positive, that's my thinking, but you know, I have no ill wills towards anybody, even Nicole. You know, it is what it is. And that's all I have to say.
I did not get upset. The only thing I said was concerning that change. I wasn't mad about that. I was fighting for my life. The whole while that I was the vice mayor, I was struggling with cancer. I was going through my treatment. Did not care about a title. I've never been one to care about a title. The only thing I've ever said about that was the whole while we were running for elections, y'all said, we're gonna keep things the way it is, we're gonna keep things the way it is. But then when it came down to it, yeah, you changed it. And the only thing I didn't like is that you didn't tell me ahead of time.
That would have been outside of the sunshine, because we had to vote on the
Y'all
vice
already knew
mayor.
what y'all were gonna do.
You can't say that.
I'd already heard it.
You can't say that.
Okay,
whatever. That's hearsay.
Just like I
or
already heard
whatever.
about this.
But then I would have been out of the sunshine. Then I'd be on death row for that. So I mean, you can't win for losing. So.
How would you have been out of the sunshine by telling me, Nikki, I don't think that you would be, I don't think you need to be the vice mayor this year. I think we need to let somebody else have it. That is just a conversation. That is not something that that was not nothing that would have been a violation of anything. Because I already had my fight going on. That was just y'all assumption of whatever it was or was not. But it is what it is. I don't care. But I keep telling y'all, if y'all not gonna do what's right and what's best for the town, then
we are doing everything out to the best of our ability for this town.
Right.
We really are. We have money coming in that the town has never seen before. We have a bank account the
and
town
what do
has
we do
never
with the
seen
money?
before.
What programs do we have for kids here?
That's not the town's responsibility to have kid programs. That was Helen Miller. She did that through her own private entity. Am I right,
Schools have
Nick?
always had
Am I right,
programs
Nick?
for the kids.
That was not the town's event.
Project Hope was Helen's event. But this town has always had activities going on for kids the whole while I grew up. You didn't grow up here, I did. I know what this town used to have and the things they used to have for these kids here.
I've been here 31 years and I've never seen the town have an
I have
event
one
for
question.
kids.
What's the deal with the community center?
It's gonna be remodeled, it needs
Go ahead,
work,
Joel.
the floor is tore up, and so we're putting out for bids for a contractor to go in and redo it, so nobody can get hurt and sue us, cause the floor is weak.
You want to have a conversation about that too, right?
Yeah, so what's going on right now, just in terms of my understanding, talking with the town manager, we're gonna have a contractor who's not interested in bidding on the project, because he'll be disinterested, come in and kind of tell us what the scope of work needs to look like, to make sure it's where it needs to be under code. We then put that into the RFQ documents, we send that out, we get back proposals from different contractors who wanna do the work. It's not just based on price, it's based on price and qualifications, that's why we do RFQ. But it's actually, it's fortunate that the manager has contact with the contractor who's willing to come in and do that for us, because they are effectively disqualifying themselves from doing the work. So we'll have hopefully a good RFQ that'll result in a good project.
Cool.
Alright. So, meeting adjourned, 7:55 PM.